Good morning. Happy Thursday to you. Hopefully, you all are having a wonderful and blessed Thursday. They both start with T. What can I say? Um, Thank goodness it's Thursday. TGIT for those who watch the ABC lineup with the Grey's Anatomy and I think the Fire Station show, and of course my favorite show, How to Get Away with Murder, which is sadly ending today. Tonight is the final episode. So if you are into that kind of thing, please make sure that you watch it, okay? Because I'm definitely gonna have my eyes glued to the TV. But that is their trademark. They took it from TGIF, thank God it's Friday, or thank goodness it's Friday, but they changed it because of the excellent lineup of television shows that they have on there. So again, thank goodness it's Thursday. Today is Thursday, May 14th, 2020. And today we are going to wrap up our Georgia's Best modules as we discuss the last three modules. Okay, so number 8 is going to be oral and written communication. Number 9 is appearance and professional image. And number 10, the pros and cons of social media. Now, I will say this, each module will have an assignment. Okay, so if you are watching this playback, it is very important that, again, you make sure that you do all of the assignments and you email them to me. That is very, very important. Okay, so we are going to go ahead without further ado, and we are going to get started. All right, so number 8, oral and written communication. There are many different ways that we communicate to each other. We communicate by using our 5 senses. Okay, so we communicate orally. So that, of course, we use our mouthpiece by speaking, by talking. Okay, tactile. That word means to use your hands, to be hands on. So, for example, when we're texting, we're being tactile. Okay, when we are learning sign language, because as we know, the we have people that unfortunately cannot hear nor speak, so they have to use their hands and use sign language to communicate whatever it is that they need to communicate. Okay, so that is the way of being tactile. Tactile is just a fancy word of hands on. Okay, visually, we can communicate by using our eyes, believe it or not. For example, to any parents that are watching this playback, okay? And I don't know about your mother, but my mother had a very mean eye, meaning that my mother didn't have to communicate verbally with me for me to get myself together, okay? She would just look at me in such a way like, to say, I need you to straighten up because you're not representing me well. And if you do not straighten up because you're not representing me well, you will be in some serious trouble. Okay. So, yes, we communicate with our eyes. I mean, when we're talking to our friends and we see something that's not is not appealing to the eye, we'll make a face. But that's more in the line of body gestures and facial expressions, and we'll get into that momentarily. Okay? We actually communicate also by listening. Listening is a form of communication. And to be 100% honest, if I can spend all day talking about the importance of effective communication, I promise you I would. And as much as I really, really want to, I honestly don't have that kind of time. But I will say this, as it relates to the forms of communication, you must make sure that you communicate effectively. I'm going to say that again. You must communicate effectively, meaning that if you are writing something, you want to make sure that the reader understands what it is that you have written. If you are texting, same thing. because that's a form of written communication. You want to make sure that your spelling is correct, your grammar is on point. You want to make sure that your flow and your delivery is concise. Otherwise, the reader will be lost. Okay? So it's very, very important that you make sure that you understand the importance of effective communication. All right, so I pose a question. How do we communicate through our nose? Because smell is one of our five senses. Now, animals communicate through smell. Um, for I believe, for example, with dogs, when dogs are when the female dog is in heat, or when the male dog is in heat, they sniff each other. They sniff each other to, hey, you all right? You seem all right. Let's go ahead and make a litter of puppies. You know what I mean? So yes, you can communicate through your nose. Okay, humans actually do this all the time as well. Um, when something again is not appealing to the eyes or to the nose, we make faces. So again, we can effectively communicate and we can express ourselves through the five senses, but we must make sure that we are doing this effectively. That is very, very important, especially when you are in a leadership position. You want to make sure that your communication skills are up to par. That's very important. Okay. Okay. And we have someone that is joining us this morning. So I do want to acknowledge the Dean. Good morning. Okay. So I thought we had somebody, but maybe they're on mute.
Good morning, Miss Hampton.
Good morning, Brittany. Thank you for joining me. So we are talking about the last three Georgia's Best modules. We are on number 8 right now, and we are discussing oral and written communication and the important ways of making sure that you communicate effectively. So the question that I have for you all to consider, whether you are in class or watching the playback, is how do effective communication tie in with all of the other Georgia's Best modules that we've covered this week? So again, if you are just now tuning in for today's playback, please make sure that you watch all the other playbacks, because this week we have been discussing the Georgia's Best modules. And remember, Georgia's Best modules are simply modules that will help you with your employability skills. It'll help you find a job, help you find a better job. It will help you start a business. It'll help you become a better business leader, better entrepreneur. So these are the types of skills that you would want to have um, up to par to make sure that you are doing your very best at in your profession. Okay. Another thing that I did not put on the slide, but I would like to mention, was as it relates to written communication, you have resumes. Okay. One of the activities that we did while we were talking about this particular module was um, how to write a resume. Your resume represents you, and it speaks on your work experience, your job history. It speaks about you. So again, grammar is so important. Making sure that your resume represents you very well. That is very, very important. You cannot have a resume with improper spelling, improper grammar. Um, you can't have that. Otherwise, you probably will not be considered for the position. Other things that you want to make sure that's on your resume. You want to make sure that you have a professional email address. Okay. A lot of times when we're starting out with our emails, we use little funny things like haha silly boy at gmail.com, or we'll use something, maybe a little provocative like sexy lady 42 at yahoo.com. But those are not the type of emails that you want to use if you're looking for a job. So, my strong suggestion is that start off with your name. You can use your initials, you can use your full name, you can use, your initials and, your favorite number. Or you can use, just your name with another type of, you know, something that represents you, but you want to make sure that it is professional. Okay, that's very, very important because again, your resume represents who you are, and you're trying to sell yourself to the company that you want to work for. Because once you are hired on that particular into that particular organization or company, you are going to be representing them. So it's very important that you put your best foot forward and you make sure that you um, have a professional resume. Okay. So that actually goes into our next, that actually goes into our next module. Well, also, sorry. Well, before we go into our next module, I also want to say that we communicate also through body language. So, body language can have a positive connotation or a negative connotation. And the word connotation is just, it basically means it can have a positive effect or a negative effect. That's basically what it means. Okay. So, what is an example of positive body language? An example of positive body language could simply be a smile. The way that you walk, the way that you hold your head up high, the way that you look at a person and you wink at them. Those are types of positive body language that you can use. Okay. An example of negative body language can be a facial expression. So that example that I just gave was negative body language. Folding your arms and blinking so many times, believe it or not. That constitutes as a negative body language because people cannot take you seriously if you look at them like this. Or when someone is talking to you, you're like, mm, mm, hurry up, shut up. I don't want to hear you talk. Like those types of things are negative connotations of body language. So you want to make sure that your body language is represented in a positive way. Okay. So a question that I have for you: how can you improve the way you express yourself in a more positive manner? That is a question that you can answer as a part of your assignment. Okay. So, and of course, as you see here, I put pictures up to show you because I believe, we are all visual people. And so this first picture, of course, is of myself when I had my hair done. I was cute, still cute now. But a couple of years ago, um, I was actually taking a picture before a meeting started. And I really liked the way that my hair looked. I really felt good that day. And I possessed and exuded a positive body language. So much so that this is one of my favorite pictures. And I have used this picture as a headshot. I've used this picture on other social media platforms, and we'll get into social media momentarily as well. But yeah, so this is one of my favorite pictures simply because I look happy, I look determined, I look professional, I look like I represent my company very well, and I'm just happy to be there. Okay. Now, of course, the second picture of the guy with the he doesn't know what's going on, so he could be confused. He can be I don't know. He's just here so he won't get fined. So there's a lot of ways that we can interpret pictures based on facial expressions, based on body language, body gestures. A lot of times when people talk with their hands, when people talk with their hands like this, sometimes that can be a sign of nervousness. So a lot of people will suggest to them that they put their hands down, or they put hands in their pockets, or they put their hands behind their back, because they want to see the person talking. They don't want to see the hands do all the talking. Okay, so it's very important that you make sure that you do not do this. Okay. All right. So now we can move forward to our next into our next module, which would be appearance and professional image. Some questions to consider. And again, these questions are questions that you will answer as a part of your assignment, but we're just having a discussion about it now. What does it mean to be professional? How does the way we dress affect our attitude? And the word affect, AFFECT, means influence. Okay. So, how does the way we dress influence our attitude? So, we talked about this week attitude and respect. So, again, we are intertwining. Okay. See how I'm using my hands trying to be funny? We are interlocking and intertwining all of the Georgia's Best modules that we have discussed on this week. Okay. So, that was one of them. Okay. So again, appearance is another way of expression. We can express ourselves through clothing. Now, let me put the disclaimer out here. The next question that I do have posted um, can bring on a lot of conversation. It can be controversial. Okay. So it says, how do you think that appearance can become a controversial topic? And again, another disclaimer. Everyone comes from different walks of life. We come from different backgrounds. We come from, um, just different diverse situations. Okay. And sometimes certain things can bring about a not so positive memory. Okay. So, in other words, I don't want to say certain words that can trigger a feeling or trigger an emotion, because I am well aware that certain things, that if you say them, it can bring, like I said, it can bring about a bad memory. It can bring about something that may have happened to you traumatically in your past, or it can just bring up something that is uncomfortable for anyone to talk about. So, with that being said, all I will say is this: it has been a controversial topic when it comes to women. And this is where sexism comes into play. Um, it is okay. Society feels that it's okay for a man to dress any kind of way that he wants to, whether it's professional, whether it's casual, whether it's whatever. And he's okay. But if a woman dresses a certain way, you see where I'm going with this. If a woman dresses a certain way, she's looking for attention. And I totally disagree with all of that. And I believe when we did talk about this a while back before the pandemic, um, my class had excellent conversations. We had great conversation about men's how a man dresses versus how a woman dresses as it relates to gaining attention. Okay. So again, I will just simply leave it at that. And again, because I do respect the fact of, again, people coming from different backgrounds and different diverse situations, and these types of topics may be uncomfortable. But I do want to encourage you all, whoever is watching this playback video, I want to encourage you that you have to have uncomfortable conversations, but I would suggest that you have them with people that you're comfortable with, if that makes any kind of sense. Sometimes we can learn from uncomfortable conversations, because uncomfortable conversations bring about dialogue, and it brings about different perspectives, and it brings about different different types of just different types of perspectives, and different types of situations. and it may change your way of thinking. It may get you to understand how one thinks. So again, I encourage you. Some conversations are uncomfortable. Me of all people, I totally get it. However, if you have someone that you can confide in, someone that you can trust to have certain conversations with, please, I encourage you to do so. Okay. And of course, if you don't trust anybody, go see a therapist because that's what they do. All right. Okay. So this is going to be another assignment. So again, each module is going to have an assignment, which will be due by noon today. So as you can see, I have two pictures here. I have two pictures of two men, and I have a picture. I'm sorry, I have a picture of two guys, and I have a picture of two girls. Okay, and it says write a compare and contrast paragraph. So that is one of the text structures that we talked about. And if you do not know what the heck a text structure is, there is a playback video that discusses text structure. Please feel free to watch that. About these two pictures. Describe who is dressed professionally and who is dressed casually and explain your reasoning why. So, again, this is going to take a lot of description. So, we're actually applying text structures to this particular module. So, again, everything that we've covered this year from the beginning of the year to now, we are all tying it back in. We're all bringing it back in together. Okay, so that is your assignment for module number 9. Okay, you are going to write a compare and contrast essay. So, I'm sorry, not essay, paragraph, excuse me. One paragraph is going to be, what do these pictures have alike? And the other paragraph, what is different? Okay. So please make sure that if you have any questions or need any clarification about what it is that you're supposed to be doing as it relates to these assignments, please feel free to reach out to me. I will also leave the information in the description box as well as the pinned comment section. So that's very important that you make sure that you are mindful of what is being asked of you as it relates to following directions. Because again, following directions is going to determine how well you do on the GED. I promise you. Okay. Okay. And so, last but certainly not least, we want to bring all of this home and we want to talk about the pros and cons of social media. So, again, we talked about these modules before, but I just want to give you a brief summary of what we have already discussed. So, the pros, meaning the good things of social media, and the cons, meaning the bad things of social media. So, what you're going to do, you are going to write down 5 good things about social media. And they don't necessarily have to be subjective, meaning personal. They can be objective, meaning not personal. They can be general. For example, one good thing about social media is it's a part of communication. You can network with your family and friends. So that's an example that I would use for the good things about social media. Okay. And then I'll come up with 4 more. One bad thing about social media is that it can be a distraction. You can lose your focus, which goes back to the very first Georgia's Best module that we discussed on Monday. Having discipline and making sure that you're not always on social media when you have work to do. See how that works? So, remember, all of our Georgia's Best modules that we've talked about this week, they intertwine. I don't know why I like doing it, but they intertwine with each other. They work together. They actually build on top of one another. So it is very important, again, that if you missed any days, you please make sure that you watch these videos. These videos are really not that long. And you can also do some research and gain a wealth of information on your own. Okay. Another question that I would like for you to answer as a part of your assignment: has social media changed since the pandemic started? In my personal opinion, it has. And I am going to explain why it has changed. Social media has changed since the pandemic because now more so than ever, more people are utilizing social media to check in on family, to check in on friends, to make sure that their family and loved ones are safe and that they are okay. Now that is Miss Hampton's answer. Please make sure that you don't like take my answer. That's called plagiarism. Okay, we don't like that. Uh, another thing about social media, so some people can argue and say no, social media has not changed since the pandemic started, but you will have to explain why. Okay, so again, has social media changed the pandemic? Has social media changed since the pandemic has started? If so, explain how. So that means you have to give reasons as to why you feel that it has changed. Okay. If you feel that it has not changed, explain why not. Okay. All of this is very, very simple. Okay. So to recap, and I forgot to put this in my in my slide here, but I'll go back. For module number 8, you are going to answer the question, how can you improve the way you express yourself in a more positive manner as it relates to your body gestures, as it relates to your body language? Has someone ever told you you look mean? Guilty. When all you're really doing is probably just thinking, or you're just so concentrated and so focused on what it is that you're doing that you may look mean? Yes, I know I have. So that is what you're going to answer. You're going to answer that in one or two sentences. How can you improve the way you express yourself in a more positive manner as it relates to body language? So that is your first assignment for Georgia's Best Module number 8. For the Georgia's Best Module number 9, you are going to write a compare and contrast paragraph about the two pictures. Remember, a paragraph has 5 to 7 sentences. Okay? Because remember, on your GED exam, you're going to have to write an essay. So this is just really easing everyone back into the writing component. Okay? And that's why it's very important that you turn these assignments into me, because I want to see all the things that we've learned about writing. I want to see you apply them um, to these topics, to these subjects, and to the concepts, because that's going to let me know that you got it, or that's going to let me know that you may need a little more practice. So please make sure that you turn these in. That's very important. And last but certainly not least, because we're going to wrap this up and put a pretty little bow on it, the pros and cons of social media. Your question, your assignment, you are to write down 5 good things about social media and 5 bad things. That's simple. You're just writing a list. Very simple. Okay. And I want you to answer the question, has social media changed since the pandemic has started? Yes, it has. No, it hasn't. Why has it? Why hasn't it? That's it. I can't fathom or understand that these assignments are so easy that it would take you probably all of maybe 30 minutes, if at best, to complete all 3. If you are thorough and if you are well aware of what is happening and what is going on. Now, if you rush through these, I can tell because I've been doing this a very long time, and I'll just make you redo it. And I don't want to do that. I really don't. So take your time in doing all assignments. You have the research at your fingertips, you have the playbacks at your fingertips. It is all contingent and on you on whether or not you go to that next level. So it's very important that you make sure that you are working thoroughly and you work diligently on these assignments. Okay? Because remember, there is a method to Miss Hampton's madness. It really is. I promise you that. Okay? So the time now is 9:30. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this video so that way you all can have it by at least 10 o'clock. So that way you can have 2 hours to work on this assignment. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share. All right. And so, Brittany, do you have any questions about your assignment?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So, remember, if you have any questions, please make sure you reach out to me. To anybody that's watching this playback, make sure that you reach out to me and you must email me the assignments by noon today so that way you can get your credit for today because I have to turn in attendance. And I want to make sure that the attendance is done in a decent time. All right. So, with all that being said, again, Brittany, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate your due diligence and your willingness and your consistency in coming to class. It is not going unnoticed. It's really not. Okay. So, man, my earrings are big. I didn't realize how big they were. Okay. So, with
And
all
did you find out about anything?
Well, no, not yet. If I find out anything, Brittany, I'll do a separate video for my virtual announcements. Okay.
Okay.
On the lookout for the videos. Make sure you have, and this is not just for you, but for everybody. Make sure that you have subscribed to my channel. Make sure that you hit the little notification bell. So every time I upload a video, you'll be the first one to get it. Because I don't, Miss Hampton, I didn't know. I didn't know. And then I have to be petty. Of course you didn't know because you didn't subscribe to my channel. And I don't want to have that conversation with y'all. I just don't. Please make sure that you have subscribed to my channel and you click the notification bell for all of my videos. All of them. Okay? So with all that being said, I am going to go ahead and try to get this video uploaded to you all as quickly as I can. So that way you all can have time to watch it and do the assignments and turn them in a timely manner. Okay. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, text me, throw me a pigeon. I don't care. Just get in contact with me the best way that you know how. Okay. So Miss Hampton loves each and every one of you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And I pray that you have a wonderful and blessed weekend. And I will see you, beautiful people, on Monday. Bye.